Dear children, welcome you all in online classes of Bishop Academy. Today we shall discuss about continuous charge distribution. These are of three types. Linear charge distribution, which is represented by lambda. Surface charge distribution, which is represented by sigma, and volume charge distribution, which is represented by rho. First, linear charge distribution. It is defined as the net charge per unit length. It means the charge present in the unit length is called linear charge distribution, and its SI unit is coulomb per meter. And this is applied when the charge is uniformly distributed over the length, either linear or circular. Second point is surface charge distribution. It is applied when the charge is uniformly distributed over the whole surface, either it is plane or is spherical surface. It means this charge is spread over the whole surface, and it is defined as the charge present per unit area, and it is mathematically written as sigma equals to q upon a, and its SI unit is, the unit of charge is coulomb and unit of area is meter square, hence its SI unit is coulomb per meter square. The third is volume charge distribution, which is represented by rho, and this is applied when the charge is spread over whole volume, either it is cube, sphere or any shape. When the charge is spread uniformly over the whole volume, we have to calculate volume charge distribution, which is represented by rho, and it is defined as the charge present per unit volume is called volume charge distribution, and mathematically it is written as rho is equals to q upon v, and its SI unit is, the SI unit of charge is coulomb and volume is meter cube, then its SI unit is coulomb per meter cube. The next topic is electric flux. Electric flux is applied when number of electric field line passing through a closed surface, and it is defined as the total number of electric field line passing through a surface normally, and it is represented by phi. Mathematically, the small amount of electric flux is written as E into ds, delta S, in which E is the electric field and delta S is the small amount of area. But when the surface area is declined by angle theta to the normal of electric field, then the electric field will change, and first of all we have to resolve the electric field along the perpendicular to the surface area ds, and its component is E cos theta. Then this small amount of electric flux will change into E cos theta into ds. It is written as E ds cos theta. This is the formula for electric flux when a surface is declined by angle theta to the normal of electric field. Then the amount of flux is represented by E ds cos theta. It is also written in the form of integral. Whole flux theta is written as E dot ds over the whole area. It means flux is also written in the form of integral. It is represented by phi is equals to closed integral of E dot ds. As you know, E dot ds means it is explained by dot product of vectors. A dot b is equals to ab cos theta. As a dot b is equals to ab cos theta, that means E dot ds is equals to E ds cos theta. Then this is the integral form of electric flux, and its SI unit is voltmeter. Its SI unit is voltmeter, or the SI unit of electric field is Newton per Coulomb, and SI unit of area is meter square. Hence it is written as Newton meter square Coulomb inverse. Newton meter square Coulomb inverse. This is the SI unit of electric flux, and it is a scalar quantity because it is represented by dot product. Now we shall discuss about Gauss theorem. It is the most important part of the first chapter. This theorem is the alternative of Coulomb's law. We have also find out electric field using Gauss theorem very easily as compared to Coulomb's law. That's why it is a very important topic, and according to this theorem, the net electric flux through a closed surface is the 1 upon epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within that surface, and it is mathematically written as flux is equals to, as you know, electric flux is equals to closed integral of E dot ds. As we define flux, this formula has been generated, and this is written as 1 upon epsilon naught times of the net charge enclosed within surface. This is the mathematical form of this statement, and it is also written as phi is equals to, you know, this is E dot ds and 1 upon epsilon naught, which is in short form written as Q net. This is net charge. This is the mathematical formula of, or mathematical form of, Gauss theorem. Now we have to prove Gauss theorem. First of all, we have to take a charge, positive amount of charge, small q, and we have to find out electric field at this point P, which lies r distance from the charge q. Then according to Coulomb's law, electric field E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square. This is the formula according to Coulomb's law at point P due to charge Q. And now we have to find out the electric field at point P using Gauss theorem. If both results are same, then Gauss theorem is proved. Now, by using Gauss theorem, first of all, we have to take a closed surface which is spherical in form. We have to take a closed surface which is spherical and having radius smaller. That's why the point P lies on this spherical surface, and we have to take a small amount of area which is called ds, and just we write down this point P here. First of all, we have to indicate the direction of electric field due to this charge, positive charge Q, and we know that the electric field due to positive charge is just outward. This is the direction of electric field, and you know, direction of area vector is also in this direction, because the direction of area vector is always normally outward to the surface. That's why the direction of ds is, it means area vector is also in the outward direction. Hence the angle between E and ds is 0, because both are in the same direction. Hence, by using Gauss theorem, we know that according to Gauss theorem, integral over closed surface E dot ds is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught times of the net charge Q net. It's okay. Now we have, first of all, we have to break E dot ds, which is written in the form of E ds cos theta, and net charge enclosed within that Gaussian surface is only one. There is a single charge Q, that's why net charge is only Q. It's okay. Now this theta is the angle between E and ds, and as we decided that the angle between E and ds is 0 degree, that's why this cos 0 is equals to 1. Since cos 0 degree equals to 1, hence it is written as integral E ds and 1 is equals to Q upon epsilon naught, and E is free from integral. Integral over whole surface ds is equals to Q upon epsilon naught, and it is also, you know, this represent the whole surface area of this closed surface. What is, which type of this surface? This is a spherical surface, that's why this integral represents whole surface and this ds represents area. That's why the whole surface area of this spherical surface is 4 pi r square. It means it is written as E into the value of this integral is whole surface area of this sphere, and which is 4 pi r square. As you know, area of surface area of sphere is 4 pi r square, and it is Q upon epsilon naught. First of all, E is equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square, or it is written as E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon r square. This is equation number 2nd, and this is equation number 1st. As you see, according to Coulomb's law, electric field at point P due to this charge Q is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon r square, and according to Gauss theorem we have also the same result. That's why Gauss theorem is correct, hence proved. This is the proof of Gauss theorem, and today our session is over. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.